the organizing of a conference to get to talk about things I haven't talked about before if I'm organizing, and to meet people you really want to know. And this session was really, in part, an excuse for meeting somebody I really want to know, and whom I'm pretty sure you're going to be glad that you've met. Adam Cooper's from the Edison Foundation, which is the think tank, fair enough arm, it's the Edison Electric Institute. We've all done work with some of their members, their officers. It's an excellent partner with low-income advocacy, especially on the LIHEAP side for decades. This has been Edison Electric carrying the LIHEAP coalition expenses and publicity and so forth. American Gas Association is a avid and enthusiastic contributor, but it's not as big. No offense. But Edison Foundation's contributing to important research on what the industry is doing. You should look up the website, which you will see in a moment on Adam's slide. And I've been looking at data from an organization called the Center or Coalition for Energy Efficiency, Consortium for Energy Efficiency, which is professionals in the utility industry who run efficiency programs. They started 3-4 years ago, maybe 5, doing a very excellent, and I know how hard it is to do a massive survey of the industry and their efficiency programs. They call them DSM, but it's more than technically narrow DSM. I wanted to actually speak on here, not as a moderator, but to show you what I have teased out of those numbers regarding how much of our leveraged utility money is representing a trend or history within the industry, and then show you how the low-income efficiency programs in both electric and gas compare to what's going on with the other side of other sectors of ratepayer-funded efficiency spending, and to look at what you can see in there that tells you there's an opportunity for us to do more, better, bigger partnerships with utilities. And I'll do that. At the end of it, Adam's going to talk about the industry, because he's a scholar who has contributed to this understanding and organizing for us massive information that they've collected in the survey, but he works on a wide variety of economic, market, and policy issues that his reports are extensive. I've listed a couple in the bio, but you'll see more of them in his work after he talks to you about what is going on in a big way in the industry into which the low-income sector programs can adjust, fit, grow, and so forth. So there are, here we go again. I didn't even give you the chicken promise either. Here, maybe that'll help. I'm just trying to advance this slide. I'll get there. Sorry. Well, half my screen is moving. Okay, there it goes. Yep. Are you only seeing half a slide? I'm going to zoom out. I'm sorry. These are tables. There are 3 tables here that I've just plain stolen out of the CE report, and they're very important information. And maybe I'm going to let you see the whole thing in a second. Okay, hit the window. Yes, sort of overfits the window. So this is the gas industry side. Our gas industry programs, as you know, have been big for longer than on the electric side, where the growth really only began in the mid-2000s. And what you're looking at here, was print a little bit too small, sorry, is the sectors to which the gas industry efficiency programs funds are devoted. And low income, this is 2012. This is the most recent data that's in the report. And low income is a huge sector in natural gas. While the gas program eligibility standards may vary and may in some cases, and I think are in some cases higher than the weatherization programs. In other places, they're not. So it's at least representative of the demand need. If you think a per capita basis is a way of, not per capita, but population basis is the way of measuring that, 20% of the funds for 16 or 17% of the population of the households. It's not bad, and they've kept that record consistently. You'll see in a moment that it's, as a percentage, less than it used to be. As a dollar figure, it's not. This is a policy. The AGA, American Gas Association, put out a report at the end of last year about what makes an ideal, high-performing, high-impact utility residential program. And it describes many factors that we all debate, you know, should you smart meters versus smart thermostats and so forth. But on the low-income side, it's a fairly short report. Says there's really only one way to get the bang for your buck. You must coordinate it with a weatherization program delivery. On the electric side, there's a shorter history. The last 10 years have been very productive, and there were programs that predate that. But the low-income sector is a much smaller percentage of the expenditures within the electric basket, which is much larger. Over 5 years, there's been extraordinary growth in the efficiency sector spending, based entirely funded by ratepayers. And I should have given you the total. The total growth rate is something like 70% growth in dollars spent on efficiency, with electric and gas combined. It's grass in Washington and Colorado. But, and the blue bar here is the low-income sector, and the red bar is everything else. I think the terrific thing, I forgot to tell you, but you're wondering as you look at this graph, so it's a good moment. CE breaks out residential from low-income. So the programs that are specifically designated as low-income programs, which are primarily the ones you're running, are what's shown in the blue bar. Adam's going to talk about what is represented within the residential sector. That up to now, every report has not tried hard and just lumped residential sector, low-income or not, together. So the series of CE reports, which have become increasingly more honed methodologically, very, very helpful for knowing how we're doing and where we're doing it. I'm looking at these things always from, hey, where's the money? You know, where's the partner we haven't made yet? And we all know anecdotally where those are. We're hoping to become best friends with Duke Energy, Southern Company, other targets of opportunity that have not yet yielded to the temptation to get deeply involved in low-income programs in most of their service area. But when you look at this geographically, I broke out California from the West because California skews regional and national figures dramatically. As you can see, I hope the legend's clear. I should make it just a little bigger. But the bottom blue, the darker blue, is the Northeast region money. Now, of course, that includes New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, where there are substantial populations, and it includes Maryland. So along with New England as a whole, it's got a lot of the regional greenhouse gas initiative states, which had very mature, large programs, only some of which got merged into the RGGI bundle later. And you probably want to live somewhere between Maryland and the Ohio-Pennsylvania border to take part in managing those programs, because those are already married to the weatherization program with one arrangement or another, most typically the piggyback delivery. The red, what surprised me here actually is that red bar from the Midwest. I just had attributed a lot more money to the Midwestern programs relative to New England. Not that they had more, but that they were comparable. Not so. The South, unsurprisingly, is a fairly narrow band. Another surprise is the dark blue band over the south. That's the rest of the Pacific Mountain region programs. Now, the population in the mountain region isn't huge, and you wouldn't expect it to show up as a big bar, but that's the West Coast except California, the Northwest, the mountains, Arizona, and the bright blue thing is California. At present, let's go here for a minute. At present, the weatherization network does not capture the contracts for much of the California utility program funding. And that's about to change. And you Californians who have made a change, forgive me while I just walk through and explain it because I know you're here. The contracted programs from the big utilities in California employ many contractors. The whole Northern California area is a program that's bid out primarily based on price competition among the bidders. It's not a highly workable program when piggybacked with the weatherization whole house program. So the utility dollars from the existing electric and gas are primarily in Southern California, but it's only somewhere between $40 and $70 million in any given year out of, I think this represents about almost $300 million in the time of this study in 2012, about $300 million in California in these programs. That now is budgeted at over $400 million. And there's another source in California. I know you Californians want me to say this. There will be more money in the weatherization system coming out of the California carbon trading markets, a much more substantial program than the one I've just described from utility DSM. It's going to focus, a very interesting focus on carbon-based fuels and certain disadvantaged areas, different formula, different rubric, different calculation of what measures you're going to put in, and it's a greenhouse gas emission-oriented approach to weatherization that I think we're all going to be pretty carefully studying for the next 4 or 5 years as you guys in California get it going. And finally, oops, darn, click to add title. The title of this would have been, there it is, what should we do with this data? The opportunity as of the funding streams in 2013 was in that little green strip. I'm not saying that the red thing that is the California programs that don't go through weatherization aren't an opportunity, but we're having a national conference now. And the important opportunity is the $70 million in that green wedge that represents almost entirely electric industry funding around the Midwest and the West and a little bit in the South. And everybody who's already on the advocacy scene within the weatherization network is pretty much aware of programs that are outside their reach. So what's the point of telling you? The point of telling you is they're these great numbers, and we can get you the tables, the background, the rationale for this. Hey, look at what the rest of the industry is doing. If you're arguing with a gas company, which probably is not the case, your national association says that the only way you're going to reach low income is through us, or at least the best way. And here, this is a trend. If you wanted to see all the details, you'd have a longer afternoon. This is part of the trend of growth, and capturing more of that growth that is expected is a pretty important goal for programs that are ready to grow. So if you Northeasterners are all set with what you've got to work on right now, everyone else is lean and hungry, and this trend here is not going to stop. Adam is going to tell us what they're forecasting and imagining to the extent that it's an understanding of the way the industry thinks. But there's been a little drop-off in the activity and interest in the weatherization network regarding leveraging, trying to leverage funding by conducting activities, programs, and plans that mobilize a response at the commission or initiation of the commission or the legislature. And maybe our recovery from the Recovery Act is over now. And there was in 2012 $80 million of ripe opportunity hanging on a tree. It's more now. And there are plenty of precedents elsewhere. Part of EOS's job is to help those of you particularly those of you who are starting up, make the arguments compared to what's going on elsewhere, both in the design and the size of programs. And except for the bad slide with the this is a little launching pad for thinking about where the money is already in the system, but not being used correctly. And we do have a bias. I mean, using correctly is let a weatherizer deliver it. There are all kinds of issues with integrating it directly with the weatherization program. There are many flexible options for what you do with the utility money in order to make the federal rules comfortable with its use. We can tell you about those examples. And finally, I think I've said this at too many conferences this year, but I'm going to say it again. Weatherization, the weatherization program is 40% LIHEAP, 40% utility funds, and the rest mostly Department of Energy weatherization. It's never been as true, of course. Those proportions have never been as large as they are now. LIHEAP continues to provide between 10 and 15% of the annual appropriation to weatherization programs. It's astonishing to me that as LIHEAP got cut after the Recovery Act, that percentage didn't change. New states came in with LIHEAP. We're proud of North Dakota and others that finally decided to join the other 38, now 40, that are putting LIHEAP into the program, a permanent investment. But that utility base is enormous. There's been a survey that NASCAST is done consistently where the states report what they know their local agencies have. EOS annually does a report interviewing all the local agencies to see what the states haven't been told, and they always come up with about 115, 120 million more. So I'm giving you these figures, 360 million or so of utility money in 2013 in our survey. It's 340 million, I think, of LIHEAP. Utilities surpassed LIHEAP. And weatherization was really tiny last year in 2013, so the percentages would be even better. For all the challenges of trying to mix these sources, for all the challenges of trying to win these sources, it's out there. And it's not going to either go away or shrink for right now. And that's why. Okay. I'm done. I'm glad we got it done right just as I finished. Thank you, Misty. I'm sorry. It was looking okay in here. No? So I'm going to show those to you again. I'm not going to talk about them, okay? But for those of you in this room, I'm sorry. It turns out it was kind of minimal on the conveyance screen. So gas, 20% low income. Y'all in here can memorize this. Electric, 7% low income. Low income and other sectors growth. Residential grew huge. So did commercial, industrial, and so forth. Not so much the low income programs in the last not the last 5 years, I'm sorry, 2008 to 2012. This isn't Recovery Act money. Don't tell yourself that because it's a Recovery Act period, it's a Recovery Act money. It's not. This is ratepayer funds, God bless them. And here are the regional figures. That bottom big blue is the Northeast. Red is the Midwest. This is as a proportion of the 700 and some million reported in the low-income sector. Green is the South. Purplish is the West without California. Light blue is California. And green is what was 2012 and is now even bigger, I'm sure, the stuff to go after in the current system, as well as a good look at what's going to be growing in the other sectors to make your case to share part of it. And this is like the post-conference plea. Manjana and I and other smart folks working for us in each season are here to help you get started on this or keep going on these kinds of leveraging opportunities. Now, I was talking about Adam Smith in the beginning.